I'm trying to make the Cannabis Church just as legitimate as the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, the Methodist Church. There's nothing different. We believe in the Ten Commandments. We believe in do unto others as you would want done unto yourself. But we also have other beliefs, and one of those other beliefs is that cannabis brings us closer to our God and our spirit. The federal government, legally, with the First Amendment, they shouldn't do anything, because I'm covered just like the Mormons are covered. I'm covered like the Jews are covered, and I'm covered like the Native American Church is covered for peyote. Now, peyote has gone before the Supreme Court as sacrament 3 times, and the Native American Church has been granted, and it is verified that they do have a right to use peyote as sacrament. The only question at hand here is, will cannabis be considered sacrament? And that's something that might fit under the peyote decisions by the Supreme Court, and it might not. The feds might choose to pursue a court case against me for cannabis. If they do, I'm going to fight for my First Amendment rights like any good American would do. I'm very excited to see if the First Amendment of the United States Constitution covers every American. I know that I'm not asking to molest children, and I'm definitely not asking for additional husbands or wives as they do in Utah. I'm just asking for the personal, private use of sacrament to bring myself closer to my God and my spirit. Jesus Christ walked around and rubbed the holy oil on people's foreheads and actually healed them. The blind could see, and those blind people most likely had glaucoma. And when the cannabis oil was rubbed on their heads, or they bathed in the cannabis oil, they got their sight back. People that were having seizures were also bathed in cannabis oil and prevented their seizures from coming back. So I believe that basically I'm following the footsteps of Jesus Christ and using the cannabis plant as sacrament. And really, I've been a cannabis activist for all uses of the plant for 20 years, and I believe that the plant is the tree of life, and it can give us food, fiber, fuel, medicine, and spiritual closeness to our God. If I grow 70% of my own cannabis for the dispensary, then I am out of federal compliance, because the DEA prosecutes people with 100 or more plants. And when I say prosecute, I mean a 10-year mandatory minimum and a $4 million fine. So at that point, I realized I needed to find a way to be in federal compliance. Which, since I'd always been promoting religion and Christianity through cannabis for 18 years in this state, I decided now was the time, and I called Roger Christie down in Hawaii and spoke with him, and he basically awakened the fact to me that he knows me, I know him, but we had never talked, because he was an activist that made it into the press a lot for hemp, and I was an activist that made it in the press a lot for hemp. And I said, well, do I qualify to be a cannabis minister? And he said, well, Kathleen, you've kind of been misrepresenting what you've been doing. You've actually spent 18 years not just as an activist, but you're a preacher, you're a minister, you're informing everyone of all the uses of the tree of life. And the light came on, very much like born-again Christians' light comes on, that here I am a preacher. So that did qualify me. I'm one of the more qualified people to be a cannabis minister. The state of Colorado defines a church as, it could be a building, but it can also be a place next to a stream, a mountaintop, anywhere that someone feels a closeness or oneness with God. And so our church will be, our services and ceremonies will be in all different places throughout the state of Colorado, because there are so many beautiful places where we would like to celebrate. I feel like this is my calling.